why I'm here is, again, to talk about 7 keys to success, those that I have discovered. Let me tell you up front, there are many keys to your success, and some of them you will discover. But these keys, I commit to you, will get you through any door. Get your pencils ready. The first key I want to share with you is something that most folks who've ever heard me speak before already know. Now, by show of hands, how many people in this room are entrepreneurs? I'm looking, and I don't think you're being quite honest. No, not the folks who raised their hands about not being entrepreneurs, but the folks who didn't, because you are as well. You approach your life in an entrepreneurial manner no matter where you work. We're in a more competitive world today than ever. We are in a smaller world today than ever. You see, we're exploring places in the universe that we've never been before, and we're no longer talking about going out on space missions or discoveries. Now when you hear conversation about people reaching beyond planet Earth, they're talking about setting up villages. Am I telling the truth? Keep me honest. And so we're living in a world today where everybody owns the space they occupy in a much more dynamic way. We live in a world where a cell phone can create $1 billion business overnight or be the vehicle to support creating $1 billion business overnight. We also live in a world where a cell phone can take down a government official. I'm not being political here. I'm speaking facts. You know, so it's really important for everybody who didn't raise their hand to remember to raise your hand the next time the question of your entrepreneurship is questioned, because truly you are your own brand in this world. And you are working as competitively as ever. The larger this world gets, the larger our universe, our understanding of the universe gets, the smaller the village that we actually compete in becomes. You follow me? Now, I'm standing in front of you, and some of you may be mathematicians, so you do the math, but I'm standing in front of you, born in 1952 in the Deep South. I had no concept of what the world looked like beyond my own immediate community. My sister Linda is here. I nearly said Zest, but she's got to be Linda today because she's got on a dress. But she'll tell you if I lie. I grew up in an environment where if I crossed Main Street, I was in trouble. That's how small my world was. Oh, don't get out a violin and cry for me, because I fly first class across the world today. And I do that because I understand what my 7 keys for success are. You know, now I am Southern, so forgive me. I mean no disrespect to anyone, but I'm a Southern faith-driven woman, and so I'm going to make analogies throughout this conversation that are not lessons on faith or religion. They're just telling you where I'm coming from. Okay? And so I'm coming from a community where we were taught that God created the world in 7 days. I'm going to give you 7 keys, and they work every one of those 7 days. Amen? Oh, no, I'm not there. I'm sorry. Right. The first key. You know this one, Brittany. Be where you say you're going to be, when you say you're going to be, how you say you're going to be. Now, I'm going to have to be honorable to that myself when I share this with you, because honestly, I was about to break my first key and ask Gail Gaines to call Kim. Gail Gaines is my boss, y'all. So let them see who you are, Gail, because Usually when I talk, after I leave, folks run up and they want to share a story with you or make a contact, and I always love that because that's just great. And they always ask for my card, and I think the joke's on them because Gail Gaines' card is the one they really need. But I was going to ask Gail, Gail, can you please ask them to understand? I'm talking about Cal State University at San Bernardino. Can you ask them to please understand that I'm not going to be able to make it? I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Atlanta, and I'm going to have to be in D.C. in 3 days, and my mom and my sister are flying out, and I just can't. And Gail looked at me like I was crazy, right? And which was legitimate. I was crazy. And she said, Jan, Kim asked you to be there. You breaking your own rule. Be where you say you're going to be, when you say you're going to be there. And this is the important thing for those of you who are still students of your entrepreneurship, how you say you're going to be there. Now, y'all are lucky Kim kept me on this stage because by now I'd be tapping somebody on the shoulder and asking, what do I mean when, well, I'm going to do it anyway. Gail, go tap somebody in the shoulder. Hurry up, because we have a finite amount of time that we're going to be in here. All right. Ma'am, what's your name? Aaliyah, do you mind coming up here since Kim said I can't leave the stage? Come quickly, honey. Come quickly. Oh, look, me too. Me too. Okay. What do I mean when I say be? You got where you're going to be, okay, when you're going to be. What do I mean when I say be there, how you say you're going to be there?
That means wherever you, okay, that means if you're on the East Coast, on the South Coast, on the West Coast, it doesn't matter if you're going to be there, no matter how you're going to be there, you explain where you are and how you're going to get there.
Well, since you came up here, I have to honor you for that, and that's your truth. I'm going to share you what my truth is. Be there how you say you're going to be there. Be ready. That's what it means. Be ready. Don't walk in. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Don't walk in unprepared. When I go into a meeting, I know not the morning of the stock, what it was valued at. I know the second, remember that cell phone I told you about? I know the second before I go into a meeting how that stock is trending. And I'm able to talk with people consistent to where their interest and their need and their perspective is. Most of you have been students at one point. And when you're honest with yourself, because we don't live in if, we live in when, right? Y'all did go to church, huh? When you were students, you showed up in the classroom sometimes not quite ready. And you patted yourself on the back. Yeah, y'all shaking your head. They don't have you on camera. They just got me. And you're patting yourself on the back because you rolled out of bed or out of wherever you were, and you showed up to class. And then you give yourself a pat on this shoulder because you got there on time. Boy, I made it on time. That doesn't cut it in today's world. It's not enough to show up where you say you're going to be, when you say you're going to be. You got to show up there how you need to be. You got to have read the material. You got to have done the research. You got to have taken care of yourself so that you are physically and mentally well to receive the knowledge being given you. And that was true when you were in classroom, and it's true in the boardroom as well. I'm talking with entrepreneurs, yes? And you can't hang out, my cough drop. You can't hang out all night and go to a meeting and be on point, because it's the little things you miss when you're trying to suffocate that yawn, or you're trying to pat, you've done it, huh? Or you're trying to pat, well, I'm talking about what I know because I've done it, right? You can miss a whole world in a moment. So that's the first key to success. B-E. where you say you're going to be, when you say you're going to be, and how you say you're going to be is the most important one of all. Let me get to the second key. The second key. Expect success. Kim asked me to share with you from my life, so I'm sharing with you from my life right now. When I grew up, as I grew up in Tarboro, North Carolina, one of 11 kids, my sister, as I mentioned to you, is here today. She flew in from North Carolina yesterday. Now, I grew up, and I mentioned already to you as well, in a world where if I crossed Main Street in my community, I was in a foreign country. Y'all know what I mean by that? Okay. And I attended what you read about in your history books, a segregated school system. I was in the 11th grade, and integration came to our town. And our smart folks decided in our town that integration meant some black kids were going to go over to the white school. And listen, just to tell you how it was, we had nothing but black and white and 2 Jewish families in the community I grew up. How narrow is that? How narrow is that? Now, they decided the smart kids would go to the white school, and that would be our integration. And we decided to integrate because the federal government said we wouldn't get funding if we didn't. So that meant that I was getting up and I was walking across Main Street that you already know about to go to school and had to get back home quickly. I also grew up in a community where we had a library for up until my 4th grade, and then we didn't have a library anymore. And I loved libraries. Ask Gail, ask Brittany, ask Linda, ask Kim. In my home, I have books in every room. Okay, I just love books. Yeah, I got my Kindle, but I love books. Nothing replaces turning pages for me. And we didn't have a library. And so that created a dilemma for my family because they had to send my brothers to collect me before it got dark so I could safely come home. Are you getting a feeling for why I'm so passionate about education and about being prepared for your entrepreneurship? But I will tell you, whether or not you had my experience of growing up in a community where you had to travel into a foreign environment to even put your hands on a book. I didn't have a book that had all the pages in it until I bought one. Don't wow, because my daddy said, you are smart enough to figure out what's missing if you read the pages you have. Didn't Daddy tell us that? Don't tell me you can't get it. Don't tell me you're going to flunk a test because you're missing some pages. You are smart enough to figure out what's not there if you read the pages you have. Entrepreneurs, I'm still doing that in my business life. I'm figuring out what's not there because I didn't get invited to that meeting or because I don't belong to that country club. Look. I'm talking to some Inland Empire folks, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. But not being a member of the Old Boys Network, forgive me, men, not being a member of the Old Boys Network or not having an Ivy League degree means nothing. Half of those Ivy League degrees are taught by students anyway now. You get a better degree here. Do you get what I'm saying? Don't set your expectations based on your environment. Don't set your expectations based on your environment. Help me, somebody. Set your expectations based on your expectations. Expect success. And I've seen too many business people. I mentor some business women. I've seen too many business people who really don't think they're going to win, who really think it's going to be a little harder for them than it is for somebody else, who really thinks because they're not walking in there with red sole shoes or special buttons, they're not, and that has nothing to do with it. Because you got the same chin as anybody else. Hold it up. Be prepared and walk in and hold it up. And remember not to hold it up so high that you can't look somebody in the eye. I will tell you when people say, what was the difference between you and the company who didn't get it? And we just were awarded a huge opportunity. And I'm asked, why do you think you got it? I will tell you, there's a lot of stuff that supports why we won. But the discriminating factor is that I could look them in the eye. I could look them in the eye. You can't lie too long when you look somebody in the eye. All right? I better move on to that third key if you're going to get all 7, though. Are y'all good on the second key to success? Here's the third key. And it appears some of you are holding that key in your hand today. I want to make sure you hold that key in your hand when you leave out of this room as well. And that key is listen. 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 Now, that's a key that I have to keep going and get cut again. Okay? Y'all remember when they used to cut keys instead of hand you the little credit cards? And I lose a few of those credit cards as well when we're on travel, don't it, Gail? Gail always puts her name on my room because she knows she doesn't have to find me to get that key replaced. Listen, if I can remember anything from growing up, and by the way, I reference growing up so much because most of what I learned that mattered in business to me, I learned in my home. And then I academically prepared myself in a school. And if you married those two together, you got a pretty good formula working for you. But the thing that I remember most growing up is my mom or my dad is saying, Janice, shut up and listen. You know, and I'm one of those people who, you know, ooh, look at these flowers. These are so pretty. And they are, aren't they? Ooh, let me go. You saw some, and they were yellow, and they were this, and they were that. Ooh, mama, and we went on the school trip, and we saw this, and we saw that, and we saw that. And, you know, and my mom would say, wait a minute, calm down. You can share. Listen, some of us get a little kernel of knowledge, and we're ready to tell the world about it, and we forget to keep listening. And some of the greatest teachers in the world will tell you, and I've been told by some of them, that the best skill they have is to listen to their students. It's then they know how to teach them what they need to impart. You can't teach if people don't learn, right? You're not teaching if they're not learning. Some schools think they are, but if they're not learning, you're not teaching. And the best way to connect that is to listen. And listening is a shared ingredient. Write that down. It's a shared ingredient. It doesn't work unless both parties are doing the listening. Remember those pages missing out of your book? Those pages in your book as entrepreneurs may be funding. Those pages missing out of your book may be network opportunities. Those pages missing out of your book may be your own personal skill sets to present your product or your service in the best way, and you know you can do it so well, but you just don't speak the language of the people who are buying. There are a lot of ways to miss pages out of your book. But if you listen well enough, if you listen out loud, you can still grow your business. You can still win the contract. You can still get the product mentioned. You can still build the brand. But you got to listen. Now, major corporations and major brands listen all the time. They hire professional listeners. They hire people to go into the streets where our kids are walking around with their baggy pants and they're walking around with a wide brim baseball cap instead of the circular brim baseball cap. They listen to what's happening in the streets, and they put it together somewhere outside of the United States, and then they build it and they remarket it to the world at high profit. And some of you spend your money on your kids to go in the store and buy it. What they were wearing 5 years ago that's been rebranded with somebody else's name on it, and you work hard and you buy it. These people are listening to what the streets are telling them and selling it back to the streets. If listening can work for them, can it work for you? Enough about listening. Where are we now? Which key? 4? Invest. You must invest in yourself, but here's the key to this one. You must also remember to invest in others. No entrepreneur should look toward growing a business today that is selfishly bred. Now, whether that's investing in your employees, whether that's investing in your community, whether that's investing back into the institutions that educated you, you must invest, and you don't wait until the day you get rich to do it. And if you don't have money to invest, invest your time. And if you don't have time, invest your kids. You're laughing, but I'm telling you my truth. I just saw somebody today who came up to me. I'm looking for it now. Raise your hand if you want to be acknowledged for it. Told me, stand on up. Told me, hey, look, I got pictures. I was trying to find them last night. Y'all don't do anything you don't want to be found for. She said, I got pictures, and it's of you and your son, and you were walking the red carpet in Beverly Hills, and I was going to bring it to you. And where is she? And she answered the question. And I'm like, he was this big. He was this big. You know? But my point is, I was investing my son in that event because it needed to be supported. So I'm not joking when I say invest your kids, because that's one of the best investments you'll ever make for them as well, is to invest them in community work, charitable work, good work. If you'll forgive me for saying it, God's work. You have to invest in yourself, but remember to invest in someone as well. I'll just give you a quick anecdote and move on to, I think, what is the 5th key. My mama, Miss L. Retha Knight Bryant, Mrs. L. Retha Knight Bryant, 11 kids, 1 mom, 1 dad. My mama got at us one time. Zest is laughing. You know what I'm going to say, don't you? My mama got at us one time. When I say got at us, that means she's chastising you. You know, when you leave North Carolina, you have to remember you're not in North Carolina. But when your mama get at you, that means she's chastising you. My mama got at us one time because we had stolen dessert out of the refrigerator. And didn't we? And she was the ringleader, not me. And my mama said, wait till your daddy comes home. Daddy was a disciplinarian. All mama had to do was cry, and you felt like you were just the scum of the earth. And daddy came home, and daddy got at us because we had stolen the dessert. But then he got us again because we didn't steal any for the other kids. And we were like, that's not fair. You already punished us. And he was like, you committed 2 crimes. You stole for yourself, and you didn't look out for your sisters and brothers. I have taken that lesson through my life. Now, I'm not recommending you steal. What I am encouraging you, pleading with you, as you grow your businesses, don't just invest in yourself, invest in the folks around you. People talk about giving back. It's fine to give back. You should give back. Give as well. Give as you grow. Don't wait till you get there to give it back. Okay, which key are we on now? Okay, this key is educate. I'm going to be very quick about it because I'm speaking with some very smart people. You must consistently, continuously educate yourself. And some things you have to re-educate yourself to. Some things that were true yesterday are no longer true today. Things. Now, when you get above things, truth lives and truth is. We're not going into that realm. I'm talking about things like how to get a letter to Brittany. 10 years ago, well, 50 years ago, you wrote a letter to Brittany and it was on paper. How do you get a letter to Brittany today? Do you hear all the answers? Email, text, can I get a tweet? You get what I'm saying? So you got to keep yourselves educated. You got to stay current. You got to stay relevant. You've got to stay invested in consistent education, learning consistently. Which key are we on now? Value, access. You know, North Carolinians have a problem with CC and SS. I'm talking about ASSESS. You've got to make sure that you do that regularly. You've got to step back and evaluate your values as you continue to move. I'm not talking about that personal set of core values. That has to be firm. That has to be rooted. Okay? That's alpha and omega for you. Okay? There's nothing before and nothing after that, your value system. As a matter of fact, whenever I speak, I always tell people, no matter who you wish to be professionally, right? Have you heard me say that? Never compromise. Can I hear it again? Never compromise who you are personally to become who you wish to be professionally. Now, that's where you need to applaud, okay? Never compromise who you are personally to become who you wish to be professionally. That's consistent. When I'm saying value assess, I'm talking about those things in your company. What did you value doing yesterday that needs to be tweaked and done differently today? IBM can tell you a lot about that. They used to sell typewriters. The Selectric 2 was my brand. I love that typewriter. Okay, it was the best thing ever invented, and I miss it a lot. I could cry for it. However, y'all are laughing, I'm telling you the truth. I'm just trying to talk quickly because I know we have finite amount of time. But today, IBM will tell you that they are an infrastructure-driven company, and they're focusing on how to get corn out of the corn belt into China. You see what I'm saying? So they have to value assess in order to stay current and in order to thrive. And it don't hurt none that Apple came along, right? So that, you know, competition drives you to value assess even if your own entrepreneurial spirit won't do it, is the point there. Are we at the 7th key? What do you think the 7th key is? Well, it is a key that I use a lot because what have I built my business doing? Employment, right? Employ well. I'm not just talking about the people you hire and hiring the best people you can and then supporting them to become even better. Because in school we learn good, better, what? Now in my life, that's the one thing I don't accept from school. I accept good, better, best, better. Good, better, best, better. Keep getting better. And you keep getting better by employing well. And one of the best employments I've ever made in my business, and this is the most precious key I hold in my personal and professional life, and that is to employ a higher power every step of the way. I don't care who your higher power is. Now, I told you, I grew up in North Carolina a whole lot of years ago. You can guess who mine is, and I get there through Jesus. I don't care. I don't care whether you get there through Jesus. I don't care who you get there through. Get there. There's a song out there, get there when you can. You need to get there because as entrepreneurs, as business people, and God forbid we do well in money with it, because some of the best entrepreneurs I know have not been the most financially profitable ones. If you want to know what I'm talking about, think in terms of Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, all entrepreneurial spirits, right? Not financially wealthy. In order to know true success, you must employ great people. You must employ a higher power as well. Let's review them, and I'm done. The first key. Second key. Third key. Y'all got a cheat sheet. Fourth key. Fifth key. Sixth key. Seventh key. If you believe, you will succeed, entrepreneurs. God bless you all. Thank you so much.